Hey guys, my name is Beans. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoy these videos, please give it a like, follow, subscribe. It means a lot to me and it helps me continue to make more videos for you guys. Today I'm going to be talking about how to start your self-love journey, how to start valuing yourself and prioritizing yourself. And one of the first steps in that process is figuring out what you need, figuring out what your body cues are, figuring out how you're feeling in any given moment. And sometimes that can be a little bit difficult, especially if you're not used to focusing on you, because it then makes you realize you have to focus on yourself and do a little bit of introspection to figure out what do you need, figure out how you feel in any given moment, if you're tired, if you're sad, if you're mad, if you're hungry, so that way you can then respond to those and figure out how to best get your needs. So even that can be its own difficult little process if you are not used to giving yourself your needs. And I think that's why on this journey, a lot of people recommend spending some time by yourself meditating, because it's a lot easier to figure out what your needs are when you're by yourself. When you're okay, you're sitting there and you just are trying to feel your body and you're okay, what do I need in this moment? Taking a moment to figure out, okay, does my body hurt? How am I feeling emotionally? Am I hungry? And sometimes during meditation, that can be easier to figure out. I know that for some people, meditation is difficult, especially just sitting there and being still. But I want you to know that is not the only type of meditation out there. There is active meditation. The key to active meditation is to be fully in the present and to be in the moment. It's when you do something that doesn't require a lot of energy, that is sort of like a repetitive task, let's say you're walking. You can meditate while walking. The key is to be mindful in that moment, to focus on how your body feels while you're walking, feeling the muscles, feeling the steps, feeling the sensations that you get as you're walking, so that way you can be more in touch with your body. So if you're someone who cannot sit still, but you still want to do meditation to try and be more in tune with you, active meditation could be the solution. Just make sure you are being intentional and you're focusing in on how your body feels as you're doing what you're doing, because you can do it as you shower, you can do it as you're washing dishes, you can do it while doing yoga, exercising, anything like that. So that is something to look into. After you figure out what your body cues are, what your needs are, then comes the step of how do I get these needs met? And that is going to be different for everyone, because everyone has different needs. And depending on what tools and resources you have, depend on how you get those needs met. For some people, they're going to realize that, oh, actually, I need a little bit of space to myself to process, to make sure I'm okay. And that in turn means that you need to spend some time by yourself. And sometimes that means setting boundaries with people of listen, I can't do this for you. I can't do that for you. I am going to be by myself right now because I need some alone time. For some people, it's going to be going out into social situations, hanging out with family and friends. And that's when you call up some people and you're like, hey, would you like to spend some time together? Would you like to hang out? So everyone's needs are going to be just a little bit different. But the first step in meeting those needs is figuring out, what do you need in the first place? Another thing that is incredibly important when you're starting to prioritize yourself and you're starting the journey of self-love is being kind to yourself. A lot of the times we are our own worst enemy. We can be super cruel to ourselves. We can be super judgmental. People have this really bad habit of being able to forgive others, but the moment we make even a tiny mistake, we hyper judge ourselves and we're super critical, and we think that we are not allowed to make mistakes, but you are indeed allowed to make mistakes. So being kind to yourself, not judging yourself, is so important on the journey of self-love. And that's not something that happens overnight, especially if you're not used to it, especially if you've been criticizing yourself since the day you were born. Learning how to not judge yourself can be extremely hard, and it's okay to make the mistake of judging yourself every once in a while. What you need to do when that happens is, the moment you start to feel that judgment come in, the moment you start to be like, oh, why would you do this? That's so stupid. You're an idiot. The moment those thoughts start to come in, you immediately have to combat those thoughts with something like, no, it's not stupid. And you have to tell yourself, it's okay for me to make a mistake. It's okay. I'm human. And just show yourself some compassion, show yourself the same compassion that you would show someone else, honestly. And that can be difficult, and it's a process to learn, and you're not going to get it 100% every single time, and that's also okay. Being aware that you're going to forget to be kind to yourself, and not judging yourself for not being kind to yourself is also important. Another key thing in prioritizing yourself and gaining self-love is setting boundaries. When you figure out what your needs are, then you have to set boundaries with people, whether that be time boundaries, whether that be emotional boundaries, of the things that you can and cannot do. And the moment someone crosses those boundaries, you have to let them know that there are real consequences for them crossing your boundaries. You can't just say this is a boundary and then have them cross that boundary and do nothing about it, because then they're just going to continue to cross those boundaries. And it's super important to make sure those boundaries stay intact, because those boundaries are there to make sure that you are vibing and thriving and living your best life. And it's to make sure that you are in your best emotional, mental, physical, spiritual state. So those are just a couple of the things to keep in mind when you're starting your self-love journey.